Hey, so hello, people. You are listening to Wake Up Tri-State Area, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. This is the podcast where we explore mindfulness in everyday life. And I have with me today a really special co-host, because we're basically going to be co-hosting with different people, but I will be the main person, Sean. It was Sean and Doug, but now it's Sean and Noelle. So let me introduce you to Noelle, who also I'm kind of a little bit nervous because she also happens to be my girlfriend. Anyway, Noelle, do you have anything to say?
Hi, I'm Noelle. I'm your girlfriend. I don't know, what else do you want me to say about me?
Just tell us something about what you do, because we're going to be diving into some stuff about what you do, I think, in terms of mindfulness. No, just your work, please. And mindfulness.
Well, I'm a therapist in private practice, and I specialize in eating disorders, OCD, and I'm also a sex therapist.
That was eating disorders and OCD. Mm-hmm. And what was the last part?
I'm also a sex therapist.
Sex therapist, I know, right? Can you believe how lucky I am?
Kind of regular, also work with like anxiety, depression, family stuff as well.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the hard shit.
All the juicy stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I just want the audience to know that she's a darned good therapist too. And I know it because I just know these things.
Uh-huh.
And I experience it directly. And I experience it directly through her expertise, which I experienced immediately when I met her, and knew that, man, if she could do that for me, she's doing that for all those other people too. They are very lucky to cross paths with this woman. So, don't book yourself with her or anything, because... Anyway, our topic for today, which we really don't normally have a topic. Well, we kind of do. What's the topic you want to say?
Well, the podcast is about mindfulness, right?
Oh, yeah. Should we talk about that for a minute?
Sure.
What is mindfulness to you? Let's talk about Let's define it for half a second. I always love defining mindfulness.
All right, go for it.
Oh, to me?
Yeah, I think that's
my job now?
Yeah.
Oh, God, in a nutshell. Mindfulness is just being self-aware of our own actions, really. It's like, I think it's being able to respond instead of react when we are centered in our higher selves. So we don't have to get into it because it might get too spiritual for you right now. But mindfulness is just basically an awareness of what's going on. And
okay, how does that differ from meditation?
Well, that is what meditation is to me too. Definitely, that's what meditation does. It helps, center you in knowing that you're not your thoughts or your feelings, or, that you're the observer of those things. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get into the spiritual part of it because I know that might freak you out a little bit. We're talking to a pretty good atheist here, I think. I shouldn't label you, but
no, that would be right.
Sciencey gal who.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot of research that backs up mindfulness and meditation. But if you can do that without, like, the religious part of it, that works better for me.
So what is it to you? What is mindfulness to you then?
It's kind of a dropping in to my body, and it's staying present with the thing that I'm doing, whether it's talking to somebody in my office or with you, or if I'm washing the dishes. I know that's such a cliche. Everybody says that. Like,
no, I love it.
Be really mindful washing the dishes, which I really
Absolutely
am
true.
not super mindful washing the dishes.
I love washing dishes, by the way.
I know this. You never have dishes in your sink. But I think it's part of like our integrity. I think it's also the way that like life feels like it moves at the pace it's supposed to. Like that experience of like you look back and you go like, oh my God, where did this just 10 years go, right? And everything has gone so fast. I think when we're mindful of our moments and we are sort of present in our own bodies, time moves the way it's supposed to. That we don't wonder like where the last decade got swallowed up.
Because we're more present to the moments, you think?
Yeah, I think so. And I think so in therapy we use it a lot in different, like there's different schools of thought that use mindfulness. Specifically, DBT is one of them, dialectical behavioral therapy. Because I work with a lot of people with eating disorders, and there's a lot of crossover between eating disorders and borderline personality disorder, DBT was designed for specifically borderline, but there's other like applications for it, and one of the tenets of it is mindfulness, and it's about like sort of dropping in and being able to kind of like hold different thoughts and feelings at the same time and staying grounded in your body at the same time, so that you're not reactive, and instead you're taking a beat to kind of respond. And
Were you taught this stuff in school?
Yes and no. Like, there's a lot of graduate school was great for a lot of reasons, but graduate school is very like broad, and so after graduate school, like, you then take a lot of like courses and continuing ed stuff and certifications outside of it, so that it's much more focused. So if you want, a good friend of mine is an EMDR therapist, and you're not taught that in graduate school. You're taught maybe what EMDR is, but if you want to master it, you have to take your own training courses. It's really expensive to be a therapist because there's so much to know and so much to practice and master. And so most of like the kind of nitty gritty we learn on our own outside of graduate school, which is why I have other certifications. Because otherwise, graduate school is more like, just a generalization, a lot of history of what we do. I'm in LCSW, so my degree is in social work, which is a good versatile degree, but to specialize, especially in private practice, you have to do a lot of extra education.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I think that they're making them better now than they used to make them for therapists. So, I'm definitely, whenever I do therapy, the younger ones seem to be much more attuned to at least what my needs are in therapy, which have to do with empathy. But that's slightly different than
my mom was a therapist, and she's so cold in real life that I always wondered, like, how does she
right? Oh my god!
But she's like that kind of old school sort of like.
No, they're not like
nodding
this anymore.
her head and not
no,
really
no. That sucks. I'm sorry.
Feedback
right? No.
So that's why it like really suited her.
No, warm and fuzzy.
Out for 45 minutes at a time.
Don't mean to cut you off, but warm and fuzzy is where it's at for me. Okay, so our topic today is, you had mentioned is you want to say?
Oh, mindfulness and sex. How to make your sex life better through mindfulness.
I thought it was mindfulness, and I thought it was painful sex or something.
No, mindfulness is one of the things that can help with pain during sex. It can help with a lot of things during sex.
Pain during sex.
Yeah, so a lot of women experience a lot of pain during sex. Mindfulness could also
Now, I
help
find that
with,
hard to believe as a lesbian.
Okay, yeah, well, that might be true. Because it's less like...
In my experience, well, I do have girlfriends that now tell me that it's painful, the ones that are straight, the straight bisexual ones that are...
Well, there's a lot of reasons why there could be, like, pain
intercourse anymore
with sex.
at a certain age, just a certain age.
So...
No, a certain age.
It depends. Like,
this
it's
whole
not
myth
always...
that you dry up and you're all fucked up. Oh, God. Yeah, don't age. Don't do it. Bad.
Yeah, I haven't.
Just definitely do the hormones because, you want to stay juicy and all that. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have been a problem for you.
Thank God.
I know, right?
Because I haven't done a speck of hormones. I wanted to do them. I was like, yeah, let's reverse this shit. They wouldn't give it to me once I'd already gone through the whole thing.
Why not?
Because I already passed over.
Oh, and you didn't really have any, like, terrible side effects.
Of course I did. Of course it was hell for about a year.
But none of it was lasting.
Yeah, right. No. Yeah, I'm on the other side of that menopause shit, by the way. I know. I'm pretty up there in age. But Noelle isn't.
Most of
no,
the reason
she isn't.
I'm pretty up there. I'm age appropriate for you. So there's a lot of reasons why women experience pain with sex, and it doesn't have to just be penetrative. A lot of the reasons can include like, um, it can be like sort of pelvic floor muscle tightness, and that's often related to like to anxiety. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes there's like a bundle of nerves up in the vagina that is just so sensitive that anything bumping into it is treacherous.
Really. Well, I will have to say, I will have to share. You know, she's gonna give me some kind of signal if I cross the boundaries here, people. Because we tried to have a boundary talk, but it didn't go very well. Because, you know, boundaries are very important. It's very important even for mindfulness. People who are aware need to respect each other's boundaries, for real. And, but the sex I was having before I met Noelle, or when I met Noelle, was kind of painful with this woman that I was dating. It's kind of funny. I don't have this problem with Noelle. And we're not talking about Noelle. And sex.
But I would expect that if you felt pain, you would say something to me.
Yes, absolutely. But this woman I was dating before you, it was painful, and I will admit that I endured the painfulness without verbalizing. I'm a horrible verbalizer, sex-wise. I mean, that's a whole nother story. It's not about mindfulness. That's just about sex. But in any case, and I endured it. But so it's just interesting to me that, you know, meeting you, there was no pain. Like sometimes, like it would hurt to walk the next day.
Oh my God.
A little bit.
Oh my God.
Just a little bit. I didn't care though.
Why not?
I don't know. I was just happy to be getting some action at that point.
Okay, so intentional pain during sex, around sexual activity is a different thing, right? It is boundaries and it's conversations and feeling pain and not speaking up.
I thought it was her rings, and I did speak up about this. I'm remembering now. I'm going back in time. I think it was the rings that were particularly bad. I think the rings hurt me the most. Because they were metal.
But where was she?
So inserting fingers with the rings on them into a woman.
Okay, show me.
Big fingers. First off, big fingers, big rings.
How big?
So she took the rings off after that.
Did it still hurt?
No, yeah, it did. I think it did.
Maybe she just, I don't know, she was not careful, but you didn't speak up. And why wouldn't you speak up? Why didn't you speak up?
Well, like I'm saying, it was kind of a good pleasurable. It wasn't bad. I'm exaggerating. You know, I'm an exaggerator. It wasn't super-duper painful to the point of I wouldn't want that pain. It was a pleasurable pain. Believe me, it wasn't bad. It's just notable difference.
Like, if it's consensual, and like if this is like the rules of engagement, right? Like if it's consensual pain, that's fine. Like go for it. I think that's great. But
yeah, I mean, I just had all kinds of issues with her. Otherwise, she controlled it all and blah, blah, blah. And what we could do when we could do it. Yeah, all that shit. And just the way she was in her whole personality. Did not work out well. But, so I'm so happy I found you. No. But sex and pain.
But there are a lot of reasons. And so one of the other, crazy little places that my career took me is I work with a lot of religious trauma and how that, plays out in people's sexuality. And very often there is a lot of pain around sex because of the messages especially women get.
Yeah, you're going to endure it.
Yeah, but also that it's a sin and that, if you're experiencing your own pleasure, then you're not in service to God, and it really kind of gets in the way of dropping in and feeling really good. So there's a few things that people can do about that. And there's a lot of good medical interventions and
So what can they do about that?
Well, mindfulness is actually a really good way. Just like any other kind of paying attention to what your body is experiencing is how we start, right? You had sex with a woman who was causing you an incredible amount of pain. If I remember right, and again,
not
make the boundary side if you want, but you were bleeding.
No. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, no, it wasn't period.
Was she like
it
a
was
biker,
not period
and she just had those skull rings and the spiky helmets on the
Yeah, she had big abstract looking freaking rings, and I think it cut me, and that's why I was bleeding the next day. Yeah. I think that's why there was blood.
But she was like annoyed with you about feeling
Well,
uncomfortable.
Yeah, her personality, that's a whole other story. We're not getting into that because that's why we move on.
Okay,
But we're
sorry.
talking about pain and sex. And yeah, so yeah, I did mention the rings and she took them off.
That was big of her.
Yeah, no, it was bigger. But she had really big fingers too.
Mm-hmm.
Which one would think that could be a real plus if you utilize them in the right way. She doesn't know how to do what you do. Because you're a sex expert, so.
No, I'm not. I'm a sex therapist.
That's what I mean.
I don't teach people like how to have sex.
Okay, I know.
That's not really sort of. I mean, I
But
don't teach them how to have sex.
But you know a lot about it, so I think it helps in this department.
Yeah, I'm kind of a nerd about it, though. Like I talk about it really clinically. Like,
You talked about it clinically. Oh, that's right. One of the first conversations I had with Noelle, we were on our first date. Let's talk about this.
okay.
We're walking along, and we're walking along this path, and we get stuck walking and walking forever around a lake, because we're halfway, and I'm like, well, we might as well keep going. So we keep going, and we're walking and walking.
Yeah, but
Anyway.
on my behalf, I had no idea how big this lake was.
So, an hour date turns into 3-hour date, which is beautiful, which I was so happy about, honestly,
Oh my God.
except for that my daughter is in town. And again, my daughter, when she's in town, is only a short time. So I was on pins and needles about how long I was missing from my daughter who had just recently been in town.
But you also didn't say. You would just check your phone. And I was like, oh my God, she thinks I'm going to kidnap her in the woods. I didn't know where the fuck we were either.
I was checking the phone to see how much longer it was going to take us to get around this freaking lake, and I wanted to be sure we were actually making progress. But in any case,
I'm just grateful you wanted to go on a second date, Sean.
yeah, so I told her this story about how I'm dating this woman. What do we want to share? This is the boundary. Why this
No.
even came up?
No, you can
Know
talk
about
it.
about your situation.
I don't know what my situation is. Oh, that's up to you. That's all.
Well, that's it makes more sense if I mention that part. No.
Yeah, you can mention it. That's fine. Go ahead.
Well, so just so you guys know,
Because we were
a non-monogamous. We're in a non-monogamous relationship. What?
That's all I was saying. I was agreeing with that.
Yeah. So in any case, so I'm still sleeping with this other woman, and but believe me, once I slept with Noelle, then that was all done with. That never went back, never looked back. And anyway, that wasn't going to happen. But this woman was doing something to me that made me feel like I was gonna. What's the word?
Pee.
Yes, thank you. I was gonna pee, but in fact, maybe she was trying to make me squirt. Right? She was all. This woman I was dating was all proud of the fact that she had made this other woman squirt.
Which is, I have a lot to say about that. But go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, Noelle was telling me all about how that works. So of course, when she was sharing that pretty much won me over. I will say.
All right.
Because anybody who can talk about
the come hither fingers.
Come
But
hither fingers.
but here's the thing,
You guys
right?
can't
Like
see
so
that.
the whole squirting thing, like it happens. It's fine. It's normal. It's
I did not
great.
wanna be
It's a
peeing on this one.
completely. You're not peeing. Squirting is different than peeing, but the people who are like so often men are the ones who really want to like make a woman squirt. They're like really proud of it. Like, and I guess the German as well. She was really proud of her ability to make women squirt. But here's the thing: when people are really insecure about their sexual prowess, they rely on these kinds of party tricks, right? Like, not that squirting is always a party trick, but they use it as that. Like, I'm so good at what I do, right? So that's why she was so like nailed to like try to make you squirt, because it was about her own insecurity, right? Like, otherwise, it's a thing that happens. It's great. It's a really different kind of orgasm than what you're used to, because it's kind of a pushing out sort of feeling, as opposed to like when everything sort of tightens when women tend to orgasm, their bodies sort of pull up and tighten. It's actually like a different
I never really
feeling.
thought about it like that exactly.
And
yeah.
and it
Okay.
doesn't feel the same way. Anyway, irrespective, it's this like I can show you how good I am kind of thing. Usually men, in my experience, the men with like smaller penises who are a little insecure about their ability are the ones who are like big on how well they go down on a woman, or making them squirt, because they're compensating. So that's why when you told me about
but
the
it's
German,
also kind of trendy right now, because
that's why when for the same reason. But it's all wrapped up in the same thing. That's why when you told me about the German on our very first date, all I thought was, oh my God. Just because, like,
that's true.
In my
bragging
head, all I kept
on the very
thinking
first
about,
date. I know.
Not you weren't bragging, she was like, but why? Why does she need you? Can't she just sort of like let it happen? Like let her prowess kind of be seen. And
yes,
also,
but I will say though, I did experiment last year with this Cuddle Puddle deal, and then these Cuddle Puddle people had an actual workshop, which I missed. It was online, virtual workshop where they taught people how to squirt. Okay, and I talked to some of my buddies who were in this Cuddle Puddle about that squirting situation. and they said,
and nobody's phones worked anymore.
They didn't actually squirt.
Out.
Yeah, they didn't actually squirt, but they didn't really figure it out. But they,
because there's a couple of ways, like there's lots of ways that people can do it, but like there's a few more.
Well, she had like
not
toys that you could
can,
use and ways that you could do it.
But again, like not everybody can.
You could masturbate yourself to squirting. Just FYI, these are more
also,
joyful things you can do sexually, people.
Yeah.
But we're really talking about
it's not a big
mindfulness.
deal.
So
and also, so just an FYI, most of the time when women can squirt, they usually come first. And so like
you didn't tell me that. You have to come first?
Not always. It depends.
Better?
It depends on the woman.
It wasn't for the woman who taught the thing, because she's a bad comer, even worse than me. If you could
but
believe
again, like it's like there's no one way, but there are certain things that like there's certain parts of like your body that would help to trigger first. Also, like I don't really understand the Cuddle Puddle online everybody's masturbating thing, I guess. But
well,
but not everybody can do it.
No.
And I think that like making this like the pinnacle of your sexual experience isn't fair.
Oh, I agree. I wouldn't even want to be doing it.
I know, because you're really compulsive about neatness, and it's soaking wet.
Yeah, I don't like that idea.
What
are you gonna do beforehand? You gotta be all prepping. Is this like what you have to do when you're heterosex? When you have heterosex,
No.
You gotta put towels down to catch the cum
God,
and shit.
no.
I don't know how you people do it.
Not that way.
But anyway, what we really need to be talking about here is mindfulness. So I want to ask you a personal question before we get back to the painful sex questions and mindfulness, which is, can you tell me something that happened to you this past week that was a mindful moment for you? Let's talk mindfulness for half a second.
Oh God, this week?
Or in this month, anything that comes to mind.
No.
No?
I mean, I can try, but I don't know. I'll have to think about it.
I know, right? It's not easy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, like, when I'm working with clients, I'm very much, like, focused on what I do, and I don't think about other things. I'm pretty good. I mean, I might call it compartmentalizing, but, like, I'm good at staying present for the person that I'm speaking with. I think that it's really important to, like, our relationships with everyone, not just, like, the client-therapist relationship. But I think being there and in the moment and not distracted is, I mean, I think that's how I work.
Yeah, it's paramount.
Also how I can work for 12 straight hours and not lose my mind.
Well, I still don't know how you do that. But yes, I agree that it's a presence. But I would also say that what that is, well, for me, the ideal operating state of being human, ideally for me, is being in a flow state, what I'm going to call a flow state. And I think that's kind of what you are when you're being super present. You're just in your flow state. Would you say that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So should we describe what a flow state is?
You should,
Define it?
because I don't have words for things like that.
You don't have words for that.
Really
Well, I want to say that when I was in my I remember when I first experienced or delineated it in time. It wasn't until I was in my 30s and I was drawing, I was teaching myself how to sketch. And I would notice that when I was sketching, I was in, like, time would pass. They say in flow states, you don't notice time, and you're just, you're just in this kind of floating place where you look up, and, oh my God, an hour's gone by, because you're just very present and focused. What's a flow state? Of course, sex for me is typically always a flow state. Just throw that in there. That's why I love it. Oh my God, is that really true? You have to ask me that?
I do, because I think that, like, you get, as you say, thrown off your game a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Here and there sometimes. Of course, I'm human.
Okay, sounds good.
90% of it, 95% of it, 99% is flow state for me. Oh, you didn't know this about me?
I've heard you say this before.
So anyway, when I was in my 30s and the drawing and noticing flow states, and so there's there's a quote, and I don't have it at my fingertips. Oh my God, so why am I even mentioning it? About conscious, unconscious competence. Have you heard this quote?
No.
First there's unconscious incompetence, then there's conscious competence, then there's unconscious competence. Oh, wait,
And then
sorry.
conscious incompetence, because I feel like most of us sort of like stagger around there.
Excuse me. We're missing a section. But there's competence. So then there's unconscious competence. So when the highest state you can reach is unconscious competence, even though that's a contradiction to mindfulness, but that's flow state. That's nirvana. That's nirvana to me. That's bliss. I will throw those words out there. It doesn't necessarily mean I wasn't in bliss when I'm drawing, but I was in a flow state. But so
But what does the competence part mean? I don't even understand that. Like, and who's judging whether you're competent? Like, that doesn't register with me at all.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Well, first off, I probably don't have the quote right. Secondly, I know. What is it? Because when you're, let's relate it to mindfulness. When you're being mindful, when you're being mindful, she's looking at me. Stop.
Well, because I've met a lot of artists in my life, and a lot of them think they're competent, but
do I think I'm competent? What do you think?
I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying that lots of people think, I'm shitty.
I'm a shitty artist.
Who think that they're
I know.
good singers, not that competent.
Right.
So who's judging the competence? And
Exactly.
Can't we should all be sort of like.
That's right.
I think we should all be unconscious and incompetent. We're just going to assume that we.
No, we should all be conscious.
Regular.
We should be unconscious and competent because the competence is this. Okay, in mindfulness, especially in meditation, it's called equanimity. Is the word they use. So when you're and I love this definition. I heard this definition about a month ago now, which I adore, which is about happiness, because you'd asked me about happiness before. And so the idea in a Buddhist kind of concept is that that happiness is a kind of a birthright, and happiness is our natural state of being. And it's infinite. I love anything infinite, okay? Because everything is constantly changing in this world, as we know. And so infinite just makes you feel good. So if our birthright is to be happy and it's infinite, what more could you not want? And so when you're just looking at me, this beautiful smiling face. If you could only see it, you'd be in love as well. I'm telling you. What am I trying to say?
I don't know.
You don't know. So equanimity. When we're operating from our centered, balanced place, which is when we're at choice, not reacting. So here, mindfulness. Let me give you an example. If you're driving in traffic, I'll give you the stupid regular one. Somebody cuts you off. You're not being mindful and you're being reactive, right? Mm-hmm. So if somebody cuts you off, and you're like, what? And then you stop. And you're like, oh, wow, look at that. I was just reactive. And then you can center yourself and calm down and be like, oh man, I guess that person as we like to say, has their foot in the trap. Who knows? Maybe they have to get themselves to the hospital. What the hell do I know why they had to cut me off? Like, you have, which is called empathy or understanding or compassion, different words for it. But you center yourself, then you're equanimous, okay? So from that place...
is it okay if I give them the finger first before I center myself?
Of course.
Okay, good.
But the mindfulness is in the awareness of what we're doing. So instead of just fuck, blah, 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 be the sucky people in traffic, they can drive. So for me, it's the slow pokies. It's not the cutting me off. It's the poker pokers that drive me bonkers.
Of that.
This week, some mindfulness this week?
Yes.
Give me a real example.
It's also your
everyday
fault
life.
that I had it.
What?
It's because I drive a little bit fast. It's not my fault.
So do I.
Right.
I don't like the pokies. The Sunday drivers drive me insane.
It's not really my fault. It's that the laws where I live are not obeyed, and my car is fast. Okay, it's totally my fault. I know. I'm taking responsibility. But every day I drive to work, and I'm tired of the speeding tickets. And I always stuck behind somebody.
I didn't know you
slow.
got speeding tickets just driving yourself to work. I thought it was just leaving me.
No, I get out of, because they don't have like the red light or the speeding cameras where I live. They just have like actual cops on the road, and I seem to get out of that sometimes a lot.
Okay, we're not talking about that. I want mindful moments, people, not your ability to talk yourself out of fucking situations.
Here's the mindful moments. Like,
okay.
Is that every time I'm behind somebody who can't drive, oh my God, they're so slow, I think I send them grace and thanks for keeping me safe, because I do. And it's your fault that I'm even thinking these kinds of thoughts.
Yeah, I don't even believe you. Have you done this week?
Yes, I do it.
Oh my God! See, this
day.
is why I love this woman. Oh my fucking God!
Because otherwise,
so you know
I
what
will,
she's doing in the Buddhist world? What she's doing is she's doing metta, which is the loving kindness practice. It's the foundation of mindfulness through the Buddhist point of view. Which is that, you extend loving kindness to the universe, to other people. But the funniest thing is I'm also hooked on Ram Dass recently, people, and I'm listening to his podcast from back in the 80s and 70s and whatever. And he's going on and on. Just last one I listened to, he's going on about metta, and this is the way I learned it as well, which is you're giving it to other people. And I use this prayer. It's a kind of a prayer. No, I don't like prayers. Well-wishing thoughts for the universe. Putting it out there, which another word for that other people would call a prayer. But anyway, I used to use that with Maxine because I learned it in yoga. What? Or a spell. Yeah, we put a spell out there that may all people be free from suffering. And what was it you just said you do to this person?
Well, I thank them for keeping me safe, because they're
driving
really
slow.
And I am grateful to them because they are saving me from a speeding ticket, or possibly
I had one coming home today from work. I had this exact scenario. I had to wait through 2 lights, mind you, to get through my neighborhood. 2 freaking lights. I was contemplating going up on the curb. I have a truck.
No, don't do that.
Circling over it.
Also, because that elicits like the finger from people like me.
But now now that Noelle has mentioned this, I'm going to utilize this wonderful gift she's giving us, people, which is thanking them for what?
Keeping me safe and
protecting
other people from my speeding
and protecting and me not having a ticket.
Yes.
But the other thing, though, people, that I'm trying to tell you is that this meta thing is that, and Ram Dass pointed out, the way it was taught back in the 80s and 70s. Yeah, it's always about the other person. But what nailed it for me was when we started putting metta to ourselves, because in India, apparently in other cultures where this stuff is invented 10 trillion billion years ago, they don't have the same problems that we Americans have in terms of lacerating ourselves and beating ourselves up as humans and not being good enough.
I don't know
So,
that's true.
Well, apparently they don't really have this issue. I know, it's hard to believe. I don't know that I believe it either, but this is what I hear. And so when we finally, and this just came about in the past, I swear to God, 5 years, that now in the American version of the Buddhism and all this stuff, we give metta to ourselves first, which is what I learned in NVC, nonviolent communication, which is giving empathy to ourselves first. She's throwing up. She doesn't like it. Giving empathy to ourselves first, then to the other, because we cannot give empathy to another if we haven't given it to ourselves. basically.
Yeah. Sometimes it makes me crazy.
And it
when
wasn't
we're
taught this
having
way.
a conflict and you are busy giving silent empathy to yourself. So I'm like, answer me.
Oh, well, that's true. But I'm actually not
We'll
very
talk
good.
about that
I'm actually
another
more
time.
crawling into a cave like the rest of us are, and I'm actually not giving her some empathy. She thinks I am. Sometimes I am, though. Sometimes I have. That's true. That's true. I'm really, really working hard on this, people. But my point, what is the point? Circling back. God, did we lose the thread? I don't
Yes,
know.
absolutely.
What?
Sex and mindfulness, and how to mindfulness can help you have better sex.
Okay, jumping back in. How?
Well, first of all, why do you have sex, right?
Ah, I told you. It's my favorite thing to do on the planet Earth.
But why?
Because it's...
One of the reasons.
Oh, you
one of
really
the-
want me to tell
so
you?
one of the ways that we're mindful of it is knowing why we're doing it.
Why?
You can drink mine if you want. You
Oh,
tell me.
shoot. Sorry. Yeah, I'll tell you. Why are we doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because for
Why are
me,
you doing it?
well, for me, it's connection. It's the ultimate connection,
Okay.
isn't it? No, it is for me. It's
I-
the
I don't
ultimate
think
intimacy. To me, sex is one of the most ultimate intimacies. I mean, no,
Okay.
I've had incredible experiences with my daughter. Hands down. Like, those things are so precious to me, it just breaks my heart to think about it.
Mm-hmm. What does that have to do with sex? I'm wondering that.
Intimacy.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
I'm not saying it can only happen through sex.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure where you were going. That's all.
That's all I'm going. I'm just saying
Okay.
it doesn't have to only be sex, but sex is I don't know, it's pretty amazing for me.
Well, I don't know that. Sorry, I lost my thing. I'm sorry, I'm just looking
You
back.
can find it, yeah.
I don't
find
think
yourself.
that everybody feels that way about sex. Like, I don't think.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure sex workers aren't like really intimately connected to their clients. So I think that, but again, like, okay, so some people have sex because it provides them income, right? That's fine. Who cares?
No,
right?
I
Like,
did sleep with sex workers before when I was an
well, that's not the
18-year-old.
point. My point is that, like,
They
part
have
of
a
being
different-
mindful is why are we here, right? Like, why are we doing this thing? Sometimes people have sex because it's expected of them, right? That their
Okay.
their
Yeah,
partners
yeah,
want
yeah.
it, and it's their job to.
Well,
to
I don't
fill
have
that.
sex that way though.
Okay, but I'm saying you're not following, which is like part of being mindful is like, why do we have it, right? Why are we in that situation? Is it an expression of love? Is it just for pleasure? I mean, that's a fantastic reason to do it because life is really, really hard, and this is kind of fun, you know. Is it to experience
Yeah,
closeness
yeah,
and
yeah,
connection, right?
Is it what?
To experience closeness and connection.
Well, it is for me.
For a lot of people, particularly men who aren't socialized to talk about their feelings, especially their needs for like intimacy and connection and emotional understanding and closeness, they get that through sex, right? It's unfortunate because they have to rely on another person's body to feel close and connected and be able to get their needs met or feel
right.
loved.
This is why I wanted to mention my daughter or other situations.
But it's still a reason to have sex. Is it some people have sex just for their partner's satisfaction because they don't get a whole lot out of it, or again like the
So
duty
just
thing.
to
Like,
reproduce.
sometimes, yeah.
Isn't it mostly about
absolutely.
reproduction?
Yeah, sometimes it's
For
just to
most?
fall asleep. You know, like there's all of the reasons are fine.
Sure.
I mean,
sure.
I don't think that just for reproduction is a great reason. I think it's an okay reason, but if it's
I
only for
think
reproduction,
in the animal kingdom, which is nature,
I know, but-
99.9% of them are just pretty much doing it, unless you're a bonobo or something.
well, yeah,
for-
but we're not
for
talking about like
reproduction.
animal sex. Well, animal kingdom sex. We're
What?
talking about human sex, right? Human sexuality is like a really different thing.
But when you have
Then-
sex, you're like an animal, so.
If you're lucky. Sometimes it's just to give your partner pleasure, right? Like sometimes it's just because they they're into it. You know, like you don't have to agree with these reasons. I'm just saying that they're reasons to have sex.
No, I agree.
You know, sometimes it's the end game is the only thing somebody's interested in, and it's just like it's a physical release. Okay.
Right. She's talking orgasm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So part of being mindful is like, why are we here? Why are we doing it? Like, slowing
Okay, so
it
why
down.
are you having sex with me then, Noelle?
It's pretty fantastic. Because it feels good, and because I love you, and I like being close to you, and I'm gonna stay mindful of those boundaries, of my own boundaries. Because it's fantastic. It's one of the best ways that I get to be with you. I look forward to it. I think about it when we're not together. All right, enough. Stop looking at me. Oh my God.
Well, luckily for me, this woman seems to like me as much as I want her. She seems to want me as much as I want her. And I think these are important things when it comes to relationships, at least in my book. It's a high priority, and so I feel very fortunate.
Okay, so why do people not want to have sex, right? Like, why do some people, particularly...
Because they don't prioritize it. They don't care. They don't value it.
That's not... But why not? Right? Like, jump into that a little bit, right? Like,
okay, why not?
Sometimes there's trauma there. And I want to say specifically, like, that this isn't about that. If somebody has experienced, like, sexual violence or trauma around sex, then they need to seek professional help so that they can work through that. Outside of sexual violence, right? The reasons for not having sex, for a low libido, there's like a million reasons. It could be that they're depressed, really stressed. They imbibe too many substances, or even tobacco, right?
Diet.
Yeah, not eating
all
enough.
The things. Not having a healthy lifestyle. Sure.
The messages that they're taught from their family, right? Like that or their religion, that it's like sinful or shameful, or there's a million. So like you have the benefit of not really absorbing a lot of like diet culture, male gaze kind of like things.
As born a lesbian, this is the difference.
And I always appreciate that about you, and I use you as an example a lot.
And liberal parents, and luckily I don't know how it happened, but I don't give a shit about these things.
Yeah. But I
do a little bit, because I am a woman, so I do a little bit, but not anywhere.
But I think it's like, there's this beautiful thing about it, because you were never interested in the male gaze.
That's for sure.
So like you never thought about like living up to those standards.
No.
Right. And I think that that's great, because like...
No, I was invisible and happy to be that way. To them.
Yeah. And so that like you could always just sort of be okay in your body. You didn't really question it.
No, I just had to seduce women, so...
Away from your brother. So, okay. So, but again, in that same vein, like our relationship to our own body is another reason why sometimes sex falls offline, right?
Absolutely.
Our own self-esteem.
Can I just ask you, since we're kind of running out of time a little bit here, how long is your meditation thing?
Oh, I don't know. It depends on how long you...
What do you think?
I have no idea.
Because I'd like to do it. We have only 20 minutes or less.
Okay, that's fine.
Can you do it for like 10 of the 20 and then we can wrap it up?
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean to cut her off, people, really. She has always brilliant, wonderful things to say.
Sure. We'll go with that.
What were you saying again? Oh, about the male gaze and everything else.
Then the other ones, the big ones, right? The big ones, again, are like abandonment or like the lack of prioritizing our own pleasure. It's like the worrying about the other person too much. The spectatoring is what we call like sort of looking in.
Spectatoring, that's what happened to me.
Yeah, that's performative sex. That's worrying more about the performance than actually being in our bodies. Than actually like dropping in and feeling the way that our bodies feel. And so that's where mindfulness becomes really helpful.
Yeah.
And how do we feel what our body feels, and how do we stop spectatoring and stop the performative sex? Right? So I love that sometimes it has happened to you, because again, like
of course it happens to me. I'm not infallible. Good God.
No, what?
Only when I screw up on you.
So, and that's the main, like, that's where you talk about, like, your what did you say? You dropped out of it or something when you sort of lose focus, right? When people talk or say a thing and I think I'm blushing, and that you're no longer sort of in the moment, right? Like that's when it becomes performative.
It's performative and spectator.
Okay, so that's really good information for me to have, right? So that, like, if I were to say something.
No, but I want you to say things.
But but for you, then it becomes about what you're doing.
We can strike a balance. See, that's what I'm always about.
What you're doing, and are you doing it right, as opposed to does this feel good for me, for her, whatever. Do I like what I'm doing? Okay, perfect. Good
well, for me, anything you do feels good. That's a problem.
That's not true.
That's a very
you
big
walked
problem.
away from a woman the next morning who, like, and then walked back to her after you were bleeding and couldn't walk straight because your hips were so bad. Like, we don't know that about you. We don't know that what's good for you or what's good for the other person is good for you. Communication is an important part of sex.
No, I agree. Communication is a very important part of sex. And I have always told Noelle, by the way, audience, that I will tell her if it's too painful. I will, and I really will. And of course I really will, but she has magic hands, so there's never anything.
Your words are a gift to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Your likes, your dislikes.
So what is this meditation thing you've got going on that is healing? What is it? We're going to do it, apparently, maybe. Keep my clothes on?
You can, if you want.
You want me to take my clothes off?
You can.
What do you mean?
Lay down.
I'll take my clothes off if that's what you want. Is that what is a part of it? You would have people take their clothes off? Are you just...
Well, I wouldn't do this in session, no.
Then why did you even say that?
Because it helps with the experience. Okay.
Okay, well then I'm taking my top off.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Top's off. Oh, socks off too. Because feet need to be free, people.
Right, God forbid.
Okay, am I going to be closing my eyes?
Okay, so yes. Do you want me to turn the light off behind you?
No, yes, I've got it. Thank you.
Like
so we're doing this. We're going to do a demonstration.
Okay. So this is a really good, like, sort of a mindfulness sort of guided meditation. Dr. Lori Brado is. Yeah. Where are you going? Is
I was coughing. So sorry.
Is the author of it, and she's like.
If you really want to know. I have a bit of a cold, people.
She's
so gross to talk about.
Okay, so Dr. Lori Brado wrote it, and this is kind of like her shtick, right? Like
she sat across from me, just so you know, so very professional.
Right, so that you can. Okay, so you can use like.
Except for that the curtains are open, I'm going to close them. Keep going.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Keep going. I don't know. They need to sit down. Go ahead.
Okay.
Keep talking. We're on the radio, people, so can't have dead air.
Okay, so just take a deep breath.
Okay.
And I hate breath work. I'll just say that,
me too.
Because it makes me gag and forget how to breathe. But if we focus just on the out breath, your in breath will take care of itself.
Okay.
Just blowing out. So slow your breath down. And think about what you can hear around you. Things that you smell, the things that you're feeling. Your hands are on your thighs right now, and you're feeling your shorts underneath your fingertips. And is your pillow under your head in a good position? Settle into it. Relax in that position. And close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that.
I feel a little bit naked.
You're not.
And am I supposed to talk? Okay, I won't talk.
Okay. And focus your attention on what's going on in your body. Observe your energy level and the sensations in your body as you're breathing. And maybe the sensations in your heart. You can feel it beating. The speed of your heart rate, the intensity of it. Can you locate exactly where you feel your heart beating? Do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your stomach? Do you notice any sensations on your skin? Warmth or coolness? Can you feel the air conditioner on you, or is it really hot near to you? Focus your attention on your facial expression and the sensations in your face. And move your focus down past your body, down your chest and your breasts, down to your belly. Deep breath. Relax your face. Move your focus down the pelvic area. Tune into the sensations in your genitals. And sweetly remind yourself that this is a mindfulness exercise for better sex. So we're going to talk about things that maybe are a little uncomfortable for you, but then just notice that too. That it feels very vulnerable sometimes. And allow your focus of attention to rest gently on the entire region of your vulva and your vagina. Notice the individual sensations in this area of your body as each emerges, lingers, and fades away. Try to become aware of how your vulva feels moment to moment. Is there tingling, or warmth, fullness, or pulsation, or a lack of sensation altogether? Observe each of these sensations without using your hands, and spend a little while observing in this way. Try to move your attention even closer to the distinct sensations in different parts of your genitals. Can you detect sensations in the clitoris? How about the area above your clitoris? The third moment, we call that the cavernous body. Which is, I know,
What?
it's a terrible name, but also one of
Above the clip, excuse me.
yeah, it's one of my very favorite parts. It's sort of the internal part of the exposed clitoris.
What?
I'll show you later.
Say it again.
It's the internal part of the exposed clitoris. It's right under the part of your pubic bone, right under where the hair covered area, I guess you can say it that way, above your clitoris. Can you move your attention to the sensation in your labia and the outer lips? Take a deep breath and breathe into it. What do you sense there? Do you notice sensations at the vaginal entrance inside your vagina? As you pay attention to these sensations, notice if you experience it as pleasant, unpleasant, is it neutral? Do you like the sensations? Do you want to keep your attention focused on them? Do you dislike them? Do you want to push those sensations away? Do these sensations feel sexual to you? Do you feel an urge to stimulate yourself further, maybe into orgasm? Simply take note of what that urge feels like, and just continue to observe the sensations in your body without touching your body. If you realize that you've forgotten about noticing the sensations in your genitals because your attention was focused on the content of a thought or a story, simply note where your attention has gone and gently return it to the sensation in your vagina and your vulva. In Not Sex Therapy, we focus on our breath. Welcome to Sex Therapy, Sean. We focus on our genitals.
I wish I'd take my bottoms off instead of my tops. I feel very vulnerable on the top. I don't sleep. This is horrible. This is the opposite. I should have done the opposite.
Okay, so then notice that it feels exposed, and I can give you a blanket if it will help you
Are we almost done?
stay comfortable. We're going to practice more mindfulness. And not worry about the time.
Oh, thank you. Jesus, yeah. I'd rather the genital area be exposed.
Okay. Okay. So
Okay.
again, take a breath in, out, and refocus your attention away from your naked chest. 'Cause it's not
Yeah,
naked
it's helping.
anymore.
It's helping instantly focus me more down there. I will say that. I know
Then
once.
come back.
I'm not supposed to be talking.
So come back and focus your attention again on your vulva. Can you feel your labia, the outer lips, and the inner lips? Breathe out. Don't hold your breath.
I can hear you.
Can you notice any sensations in your vaginal entrance, inside your vagina? Does it feel pleasant or unpleasant? Or neutral? Do you like these sensations and want to keep paying attention to them? Do you want to push them away? Breathe out and refocus your attention. Does it feel sexual? Do you want to stimulate yourself further? Just continue to observe your sensations without touching. Just notice. Now, you can expand your focus of attention around the genitals to include a sense of your whole body as you continue to lie still with your eyes closed. Allow your attention to rest on whatever sensation is most prominent, moment to moment, wherever it is located in your body. Continue to do this for a little bit. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
No, I'm so glad I get to
Is that
open my
hard?
fucking my eyes.
Was that hard for you?
Oh my God, we only have 2 minutes left,
Oh my
people.
God, tell me what it was like for you.
Well, thank God you covered up my. Yeah, that was the wrong body parts to be exposed. That was for sure. Very neutral until the end. Then I
You
could
were
feel.
covered.
Then at the very, very end, I felt my heartbeat in my crotch. Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yep, like I could feel it pulsing down there.
So this
You
is
know-
what we do, right? Like this is like I always make a joke about my excellent pelvic floor muscle
know.
control.
I know.
But this is what I
This one
do.
has, like,
This
magic
is how
powers.
I
Uh-huh.
drop into my body.
Okay, how?
Exactly this. I focus on the
Okay.
sensations that I have.
Yeah, I mean, that could be mind-blowingly helpful. I can see that could be. I really wish, but it was neutral. It was neutral for me. It wasn't, I did not get turned on or, it was
It's actually not intended to, right? Like it's not intended to be a turn on. It's intended to focus on what it feels like, whether it's neutral or it's not neutral.
Yeah, so that's why at the end when I was feeling my heartbeat in my crotch was kind of interesting. That was kind of like, yeah, nice that it was, because I knew that's what kind of you were angling for, duh.
I'm not angling for anything. My job is not to turn on my clients, that's for sure.
Okay.
It's the activity is just
Well-
to be mindful about what it feels like.
Yes,
So
yes.
what we know, right,
Yes.
is that like actually you have some kind of vulnerability about being exposed, at least in some areas of your body. Okay, that's fine. That's a neutral thing to feel, right? Like your vulnerability is still neutral. It just is what it is. But if you know that, then then work with it rather than fight it, right? That sex is about, I know you've made a joke about one time about like, well, if your feet is cold, just like throw the blanket on it, right? Like from Come As You Are, that like it says, said something about like having cold feet, which is a good book, by the way. But the point is that like if that's a vulnerability for you and it takes you away from dropping into your body and
Yeah.
feeling what sex feels like and registering whether do I like this or do I not like this, sex can get so much bigger and better, and you won't.
You're telling me.
And you won't walk away the next day bleeding with a some weird, I don't know, pain from a.
Okay, we're going to have to
Right.
pick this up again, people, because I can definitely push against some of the things she's saying in a way. But yes, I agree. And we need to wrap it up, so we're at the top of the hour. Wow, I think that was pretty exciting exploration. How was it for you?
It was super fun.
Oh, yay. Okay. Normally, I would end in a freaking poem.
End in a poem.
All right, end in a poem, end in some meta, but meta is may we all be happy in our natural states. I'm quickly digging to see if I have a poem. I do not have a poem I don't have a sex poem, people. So I think we're just going to sign out tonight and and just say, wow, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Noelle. This has been very exciting, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, till we meet again, people. Tune back in. There's always something good around here, around this block, because we're waking up. Yeah. All right. Any last words? I love you.
I love you too.
All
Thanks
right.
for rallying.
We love you too, people. I do anyway. I don't know about her. I love you guys too. All right. Bye.